Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the third tenet of the 14 defining characteristics of fascism. We've looked at powerful and continuing nationalism, and then disdain for the recognition of human rights. And today we're going to be talking about identification of enemies, scapegoats as a unifying cause. The people are rallied into a unifying patriotic frenzy over the need to eliminate a perceived common threat or foe, racial, ethnic, or religious minorities, liberals, communists, socialists, terrorists, anything along those lines, which we're seeing nonstop today in America.
Yeah, we are. We saw some of this during Bush's administration. Kind of this thing of this culture war between right and left, and a Christian nation under terror attack by an Islamic nation and stuff. But what's going on today with this administration? Depending on your level of gullibility, if you're paying attention to the messages coming from the White House, you might just believe that there are Muslim vampires waiting to slither in your window and drink your children's blood.
And Mexicans waiting to rape you.
Oh yeah, Mexicans waiting to rape you, and
black people waiting to kill you.
Oh yeah, black thugs. All black people want death to Whitey.
This is disheartening, because the last show I said, I wonder how many of these are going to pass the test as something that's actively one of the tenets of fascism in America. And here we are again, the third one right off the bat passes.
And the thing is I've had discussions about Hitler and the Third Reich before. The whole subject fascinates me, and I watch a lot of documentaries sometimes with friends, and when I ask people, what do you think is the main thing that they use to pull this off? And it's always the same thing: scapegoating Jews and gypsies.
Yep.
And others, but the common answer I hear is people refer to Jews and gypsies. There were others that were scapegoated as well.
Absolutely. And the scapegoating is, again, nothing new in the United States. We've always used scapegoating in one sense or another, and a lot of times, obviously, with race. But to the extent that we're seeing it today, where it is, of course, still race and ethnicity, but we're seeing it on, academics, on journalists, anything in the media is considered the enemy of Trump. Everything's fake news unless he says so. That's why they've, Sinclair Media has bought up enough to where enough TV stations to where they're able to reach 72% of households in America. There used to be a cap before January of 39%. There was an actual legalized cap, and it was regulated to where you could not have more than 39% of American households, unless it was like cable. We're talking non-cable, non-satellite, to where they can reach out. And it's literally Trump TV. So if it's not on there, or if it's not coming directly from Trump himself, he calls it fake news. He calls us calls the media, anybody who is talking against him, as the enemy, or, as I said a minute ago, academics.
Right. Academics are being blamed for a lot of the country's problems, which blows my mind, because, I've definitely, when I look at how my professors, as a former college student, how my professors have leaned, they definitely, overall, I can say most of my professors have leaned to the left, but I've never really felt indoctrinated. I have never really felt like there's this organized conspiracy to indoctrinate me into communism, or anything like that. I went through college. I listened to my professors, all of them with an open mind, and guess what? I still hate communism. So
I'm a sociologist, and I don't even teach about communism. I teach about Karl Marx and theory, but I don't teach them communism. And that would generally be what you would expect in that class, especially if you're going to talk about Karl Marx. But I talk about the heart of what, the theory was. And it's not just that. I talk about all kinds of theorists, not just Marx. But it's something that you can't ignore, because especially if you're going to be criticizing capitalism, as we do. We criticize everything, though. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And you're absolutely right. It depends on who you come in contact with, because there are plenty of professors at my university that lean hardcore right. But if you do it right in a classroom, that's not what you're supposed to be talking about anyway. They shouldn't be able to tell your political leanings. And the thing is the way we're so divided right now. I teach sociology. I teach racial equality and gender equality. So now they automatically assume that I'm this. And I'm not going to say they're wrong, but I always tell them that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to look at facts. But there's always that assumption, right, that if you're an academic, you must be on this side or that side. Well, let me tell you, a lot of academics fucking voted for Trump.
The word equality doesn't usually fit anywhere in the hard right racist.
I get tickets on my car at my university because I have an equality bumper sticker. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, academics are getting singled out, and I don't think it's a coincidence that as we see the scapegoating of academics, that and statistics, and there's a growing segment of the population, mainly on the right, where you can show them hard statistics that were gathered through a very reasoned process that pooled as diverse of a pool of people as possible, or are based on actual reports from government agencies that do transactions in whatever subject, and people will just be like, oh, that's fake news,
Yes.
That is cultural Marxist indoctrination and this sort of thing. And it's happening so quickly right now that it's actually really become alarming. I mean, when there is a coordinated movement that starts with the highest seat of power, in our case the White House, attacking academics and attacking statistics, do you wonder why the flat earth movement is actually a thing now?
Yeah.
And that's the really harmful effect of scapegoating, is you come up with these really just off the wall, harebrained, narrow-minded theories. The rejection of academia because of religious values was how we for so long believed the earth was at the center of the universe, and people got burned at the stake for saying otherwise. We're headed back that way. We really are. I understand the value of your own personal observation, but, yes, I've gone up in a plane and the earth looks flat when I look down on it. That doesn't mean the earth is flat.
Yeah, but this particular characteristic here, it seems more like this is something that's always gone on throughout history in this country, though. It's not anything specific to Trump or anything new, actually. It might be done in different ways, but we've always demonized people and scapegoated different groups of people, usually the same ones we're doing now.
It definitely is. Pretty much every wave of immigration we've had, whether it was Polish people or German people or Irish people or Arabs or whatever, you can pretty much find any group. At some point, they were immigrating in large numbers, and you find all this shit where people hated them and blamed them for everything going on, and it's really sad. That's been a big part of the American condition, since the start of America. There is something new going on with the current level of scapegoating, though. It's definitely at a much higher level, I think.
Well, I think they just want to go back to some people that aren't demonized as much as they were, who are still demonized, though, like women, for one. Women didn't used to have the right to vote. Now they have that right, but they're still an underclass. You know what I mean? They're considered by most of these people, especially the people in charge, are like, oh, but now you have people that literally they're under us. They're secondary. They're not, they should be doing what we want. We should own them basically again. And I've seen things online where people are saying that women shouldn't be allowed to vote again, like a lot of things like that. Or they have laws like a woman has to ask a man before she can get an abortion in certain states. So they're trying to roll back to what used to be, I think. That's what I think this Make America Great Again thing is, which means make America as horrible as it ever was in every instance.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that we talk about, racism, we talk about sexism, we talk about, witch trials and witch burnings. These things happened in America, and, a certain segment of the population that supports the current president will tell you, oh, well, that was in the past. That's not what America is anymore. Well, then what you're saying is America was never great. You don't get to have it both ways.
Have you heard these people saying that transgendered people are wanting to go into other people's restrooms supposedly so they can go rape people? That's something I see a lot too. It's
yeah, even
crazy.
Though it's absolutely no time in history has it occurred, although there tends to be, a lot of white Christian Republicans who get caught doing those things in bathrooms all the time that are not transgender.
Yeah, the whole foot tapping thing, right?
Yeah, we've got airport restrooms, and actually they're called tea rooms. If you'd like to know more, go look them up.
Well, this whole thing about transgenders in, going into our bathrooms, I need to unpack this, and I can do it real quickly. If you have a man who identifies as a female, odds are he's attracted to males.
Exactly.
Should he happen to have the tendency towards pedophilia that statistically is the same percent no matter what demographic you look at, he's going to be attracted to boys. He identifies as a woman, let him use the women's room. If you're concerned about creepy by look at where the attraction would lie if that was a thing.
Yeah, I just think, it's just the way to like the whole Mexicans are looking to rape all our women stuff. It's outlandish stuff, but I'm saying they just come up with this stuff and they use this propaganda to feed it to their people. And these people are so ignorant that as soon as Fox News or one of their little sites says it, Alex Jones, whoever, they're like, oh, it's fact. No one looks it up. No one double checks. No one checks statistics. No one even thinks logically if it makes any sense. It's fact immediately, and they spread it like wildfire. And then next thing you know, everyone's memeing it and believing it because that's what they do. They meme everything.
Mm-hmm. And no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like any way they can demonize a group to make themselves feel better. And it goes all the way from the top, obviously. All Trump does is bully people, bully groups, say horrible things about people, make fun of disabled people.
Yeah.
Hitler didn't like disabled people too.
Oh, yeah. And I got to tell you, this more than anything else is the thing about Trump that set me off, and really just, set off my tyranny radar, the scapegoating. Because I go back again, ask anybody who knows anything about the Third Reich, ask them how they pulled it off, and they'll say scapegoating Jews.
And they even go so far, these people are going to take our jobs. They're taking all our jobs. We don't have any, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like the South Park episode. They took our jobs, And as the episode goes on, it's more like, You know, because it's just that whole segment that buys into that is just getting more and more stupid every passing day.
Well, who would benefit from you believing that that immigrants are keeping you poor more than the corporate executives who refuse to take a pay cut, in fact keep getting pay raises? They're the ones that are actually keeping you poor. But as long as you be blaming someone else, they can keep bribing the government to do what they want, and everything's gravy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anyone else have anything to add to this one?
Nope.
What's next? What's tomorrow? Supremacy of military. So yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. Stay tuned tomorrow for the next tenet of fascism on the series, the supremacy of military. Let's see if it's relevant to the United States.